Okay, so I went ahead and did this strap, and I thought to myself, there's nothing interesting about a strap. There's not going to be any need to record that. And I'm regretting that decision now because a few things did pop up while I was working on it that probably would have been worth talking about. So when I do the front strap, I will record that, and if anything interesting happens, we'll have it, and if not, I'll just cut that out. But what I've realized is I've put myself in a bit of a quandary here because I need the edge binding to go underneath the strap and stitch the strap to the plate. And I've left enough space underneath the strap to be able to insert the edge binding. I really need to stitch the strap into the edge binding so that when I add the rivet, I'm really adamant that if there's a rivet there, it should not be stressed because that's going to be a wear point over time. The stitches will hold much longer, much better. So I really don't want to put a rivet there except for aesthetically. I don't want it taking any stress. Problem is, if I'm going to put a rivet there, I need the edge binding in place first because I can't put a binding underneath the rivet. So I've done this in the wrong order. I should have done the binding first, then the strap. Now, I can lift the strap up and work underneath it, but then I have to choose, do I want to put stress on the rivet or do I want to remove the rivet entirely? Which is on the table for me. I may do that. I might move the rivet over to the corners and maybe one in the middle and just not have a rivet on the strap. I think it would look good either way, actually, with or without the rivet. So it's a possibility that I just get rid of the rivet entirely. Another possibility is that I go ahead and do the edge binding and then I just re-stitch this, and we'll have two stitches here and here. It'll double up. It'll be a little thicker, just reusing the same holes. Probably wouldn't even be noticeable unless you're really looking at it. But then whatever I do there, I should also do there, because then it'll be balanced. It'll look better even if it's not intentional. It'll look intentional. So I have a few decisions to make, but I think all of those decisions really boil down to stopping and doing the edge binding before it gets any worse. So I'm going to do the edge binding next, I think. And then there's the question of the lining. The edge binding would come around and rest on top of the lining normally. I haven't decided if I want to do that or not, because I was thinking of butting up against the lining, and that would look really clean. But if I do that, then the lining can wait until after the edge binding is complete. Yeah, decisions. I think I want to do the binding first and the lining last. I know it's counterintuitive, but I think that's how I want to do it, because I can stitch that to look like it was done in, well, it will be done intentionally. It'll look good. I'm not going to record the work on the edge binding because that's not my knowledge to share. I've got that from someone who's not really keen to make it public, so I'm going to respect that person's wishes, and if they go and publish it, then sure, if it's in the public domain, I may revisit this in the future. But until something like that happens, I'm sure you can find it somewhere else, but it won't be from me. So I'll do that, and then so I'll work on the edge binding. Then when the binding is done, I'll come back and finish this strap, and I think we'll do the lining last, and that'll be fun, because it would make sense to do the lining first because your binding would go over it. In this case, it's not going to go over it. Okay, so let me do the binding and then we'll continue.